Midwest states. I'm going to start over here, and we're going to go down, and then we're going to go down, and then we're going to go down, up, and around, like that, okay? Up and around. So, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan. Don't forget that both of these pieces is Michigan. One more time. North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan. All right, let's begin reading on page 163. Wilderness Road. In 1775, Kentucky was bought from the Cherokee Nation by Colonel Richard Henderson. He wanted to sell the land to the pioneers who would come to Kentucky. How would the pioneers and their families get there? There was not even a path to lead them. Colonel Henderson sent for Daniel Boone. Mr. Boone, he said, you have been to Kentucky. Will you lead a team of men to mark a trail for others to follow? This was Daniel Boone's dream come true. Leading 30 men with axes, Daniel Boone and his men marked the trail by cutting notches into the trees as they walked along. This trail led from Virginia to the middle of Kentucky and was named the Wilderness Road. So was it really a road?
No.
It wasn't even really a trail, was it? It was just notches marked in trees so they would know the path to go to reach Kentucky, from Virginia to Kentucky. You need to sit up and get your attention on your book. At the end of the trail, Mr. Boone and his men built cabins. Then they built a fort around the cabins for protection. The men decided to name the new settlement Boonesboro in honor of their leader. Daniel Boone then followed the trail back home. He wanted to bring his family back to Boonesboro. And that is a representation of the fort at Boonesboro. I'm sure it's not the same one. They probably had to rebuild it. But that would show us what it would have looked like. Turn the page. Daniel Boone and his family, along with others, safely made the trip back to Kentucky. Why, it's just as beautiful as you said it was, Daniel, exclaimed Mrs. Boone when she looked over the rolling hills and forests of their new home for the first time. Rebecca Boone and her daughters were the first white women to live in Kentucky. It was not long before other pioneers followed the Wilderness Road, which was really a trail rather than a road. Travelers followed the notches in the trees, slept on the ground, and waded across rivers and streams on their way to Kentucky. Many times the trail was too narrow for a wagon, so the travelers could take with them only what they could carry. Top of the next page. The War for Independence. The pioneers in Kentucky heard that the colonies were fighting England. Kentucky was not a colony, and the pioneers were far away from the war. Besides, they had troubles of their own. The Cherokees were not the only Native Americans in Kentucky. Because remember, Colonel Henderson bought Kentucky from the Cherokee Indians. Do you think the other Indians were happy about that? No. The Cherokees were not the only Native Americans in Kentucky. They were many other smaller tribes. These tribes began to fight against each other. When the War for Independence began, the English talked many Native Americans into fighting against the pioneers. As a result, the pioneers faced more trouble with Native Americans in Kentucky. Native American tribes who helped the British waited for the opportunity to capture settlers and take them to the British. Captured by Indians. On one occasion, the settlers in Boonesboro needed salt to keep their meat from spoiling, but there was no salt. What were they to do? Would the people all starve because of spoiled food? Daniel Boone had a plan. He took a group of men to the salt water springs at Licking River. They boiled the water in kettles until only the salt was left. This would be a long, hard job and a dangerous journey, but Mr. Boone knew it must be done. The pioneers were able to get plenty of salt for their meat, but on their way back to Boonesboro, they were captured by Indians. The Shawnee Indians were so proud of capturing Daniel Boone, the famous pioneer, that they decided to keep him and make him part of their tribe. They adopted him and called him their brother. but he was still a prisoner. Turn the page. Mr. Boone was smart. He learned that the Shawnee tribe was planning to attack Boonesboro, and he waited for the right time to escape. It soon came. At just the right moment, he jumped on the back of a horse and rode as fast as he could. When the horse became too tired to run any farther, Daniel Boone jumped off and ran. He traveled 160 miles in only 4 days. He covered his tracks so he could not be followed. Finally, Daniel Boone made it home with just enough time to warn the people of Boonesboro and to prepare for the attack. The men worked hard to make the fort stronger. They made more bullets and prepared their guns. When the Shawnees came, the people of Boonesboro were ready. They bravely fought the Indians for 10 days. But the Shawnee tribe would not give up. They started to dig a tunnel under the fort walls and even set the fort on fire. When all seemed lost, it began to rain. The rain drenched the flames and collapsed the tunnels. The Shawnee Indians ran back into the forest. How the people of Boonesboro rejoiced. A pioneer of pioneers. Daniel Boone was a pioneer. He led the way for thousands of other pioneers to follow him to Kentucky along the Wilderness Road. Later, the Wilderness Road was made wide enough for wagons to travel over it. By 1800, more than 100,000 people have traveled over the Wilderness Road on their way to a new home and a new dream. Today, sections of the Wilderness Road are part of a large highway system from Tennessee to Kentucky. God used the courage and determination of Daniel Boone and others like him to inspire others to move west to make a bigger America. Stop and think. Have there been other pioneers after Daniel Boone? Yes. Throughout history, courageous men and women have led the way for others with new ideas in inventions, transportation, healthcare, and science. Missionaries have gone into countries or cities where the Bible has never been seen. These pioneers have inspired others to follow their examples. Can you think of any modern day pioneers? Where's something that still could be explored that hasn't been explored yet?
More of the ocean.
Okay, there are parts of the ocean that haven't been explored. Space.
Definitely.
Well, we've been learning science. There's lots of space that hasn't been explored. All right, answer these questions. Tribe of Native Americans who sold Kentucky. Just say it. Cherokee. Very good. The trail blazed from Virginia to Kentucky.
Wilderness Road.
Very good. Wilderness Road. The name of the Kentucky settlement Daniel Boone helped build.
Boonesboro.
The tribe who captured and adopted Daniel Boone. Shawnee. The Shawnee captured him. Traveled 160 miles to warn the settlement of an Indian attack.
Daniel
Boone. All right, now we're going to review for the quiz that we also are going to have next week. Please stop making that noise. A person who travels into unknown land to settle there. Pioneer, very good. Daniel Boone marked the trail from Virginia to Kentucky. An open, free land where few people have settled.
Wilderness Road.
No, that's
Boonesboro.
any open, free land where few people have settled.
Kentucky.
It's called a frontier. Kentucky is not any land. Any land that's open and free and very few people have settled there is frontier. What is it, guys?
Frontier.
I can tell that you guys have not been studying the review sheet that I already gave you. The French and Indian War was won by this group who then controlled the land west of the Appalachian Mountains.
British.
Another name for them?
English.
The trail that Daniel Boone marked became known as
Wilderness Road.
And this is something we haven't been able to do yet. Kentucky was purchased from what nation? You just said it.
Cherokee.
Cherokee. Kentucky was purchased from the Cherokee. And some of them we haven't done yet, so I can't ask you them. We'll review again after we've done that. Peter Cartwright is who we'll read about next, and then he is on the quiz a little bit. Alright, and then we need to start reviewing the northeast and the southeast again, starting on Monday, because the whole thing, northeast to southeast, is on the quiz. Midwest is not on the quiz, but northeast all the way to southeast is on the quiz.